Let's talk about computer security for just a moment. When we're talking about computer security, there's three things that we are concerned with ensuring in our computer system: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Let's define each of these terms real quick. So confidentiality is essentially the fact that those who are allowed to view information or have access to information have that access, and those that don't do not have that access. So we can think about keeping information secret or just making sure that the correct user has the correct permissions to view or access certain pieces of information. That is what is meant by confidentiality. Integrity is that the data represents reality. When we have information on a computer, we only want it to change when reality changes. We don't want other people modifying that information or the computer misplacing or changing the information. Availability means that a service is accessible when it needs to be accessible. A network connection is available if we can access the internet through it. Each of these three things, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, are what we are trying to protect in a computer system and on a network. In order to do that, we're going to put in a variety of different measures, devices, and policies in order to try and ensure each of these three things. Now, an attacker is only concerned with compromising any one of them. Of course, they might want to compromise all of them, but their job is done if they've compromised even one of them. Now, as we implement security measures, we want to keep in mind the FSU triangle: functionality, security, and usability. Functionality is how many things a device can do. Usability is how easy is it to use that device. And security involves how secure the device is or how well it protects these three things. Now, it's a triangle because as we move towards any one of these corners, we move away from the other corners. For example, if I want to secure a device completely, ensuring complete confidentiality, complete integrity, and complete availability, the system is either going to have fewer and fewer functions or things that it can do, or it's going to become more and more cumbersome to use. Imagine a computer that requires a retina scan, thumbprint, password, etc. every 2 minutes just to make sure that you're still the user who's supposed to be using it. It becomes very unusable, but it's significantly more secure. Reducing the functionality of the computer can also increase security. If we can't access the web, 99% of the threats that we face today suddenly disappear. However, we need to strike a balance between security, functionality, and usability within our systems. Now, depending on the type of system, we may be able to err towards one of these corners without much negative impact. Of course, most systems will want to live somewhere in the middle, a balance between functionality, usability, and security. Let's talk for a moment about ethical hacking. Well, what is ethical hacking? Hacking is the process of finding out how things work. Ethical hacking is doing that with permission. Essentially, the rule of thumb is you may only access systems for which you have permission. Now, realize that when we're tinkering with things, when we're trying to find out how things work, we have great potential to do damage to those systems or to reveal information that wasn't intended to be revealed. So when we are tinkering or hacking, we want to consider what the possible negative outcomes of our activity could be. Now, the ethical considerations have to do with what is right and wrong from a moral standpoint. Are we doing something that we have permission to do or not? When it comes to legal considerations, there are several laws that govern what you can and cannot do on a computer system, especially someone else's computer system. Now, you've probably heard the term black hat, gray hat, white hat hackers in the past. Mainstream media and news like to use these terms to label different people and their exploits in computer systems. Well, what do these each mean? Well, a black hat hacker is somebody who's going to be hacking for their own intents and purposes. Not necessarily maliciously, but they don't have permission to do what they're doing. A white hat hacker is someone who has permission to hack on a particular network. Now, usually a white hat hacker is hacking for the sake of figuring out how stuff works on a network with the intent of making it more secure, while a black hat hacker is someone who's trying to compromise a system or break a system. But the big thing that separates a black hat hacker from a white hat hacker is whether or not you have permission to do what you are doing. Now, a gray hat hacker sits in the middle. It's someone who has good intentions but does not have permission. From now on, you are only allowed to be a white hat hacker. And here's your rule: you may only access systems for which you have permission.